So this time, Lux and Jackson are going on a Randonautica adventure with just me. They want to have a little turn. As you can see, Jackson has a little bit of a hard time giving Lux her personal space. We're trying to work on that with that little feller. Because Jackson is a lot younger than Lux, so he has quite a bit more vim and vigor than she does. So I had to change leashes on these two because Jackson had the longer leash. And when he has the longer leash, he really won't leave Lux alone, but if his is a little shorter, he can't quite be right on top of her the whole time. And we are now going to turn left. There's a fellow that's got one of those motorized bikes. Pretty cool. Here's some really beautiful amaranthus or love lies bleeding. Such a beautiful plant. It's an annual, but just share the seeds and plant them in the spring and they'll come back. Here we are. Law offices. And I'm not sure what this building used to be. I know it wasn't always a law office. Doesn't look necessarily very lucrative, but I hear that it pays after you spend a certain amount of time with it. And the dogs are unimpressed, right guys? So this was our destination, the law office of Theron Burrell. And we know that I must have chosen void for my Randonautica adventure because I mean at least I assume so, because we could make the joke that lawyers are void of a soul. Obviously a joke. As you can see, there's a lot of sections of our town that have old homes that have not been able to be maintained. It's kind of a result of having a steel mill, an industrial base, and then having it shut down and go overseas. I suppose Bill Clinton and the Bush family and their cohorts probably had a lot to do with that when the Bushes encouraged Clinton to sign NAFTA and institute free trade and demoralize our industrial base. So we had a lot of pretty homes in the region, but right now we just don't really have the jobs to sustain it. So you'll come into neighborhoods, they're not crime ridden or anything like that, they're low crime and everything, just no money. No money for repairs, no money for home ownership, and basically in this region our landlords are slumlords, probably because even though they own property, when the economy is poor, everyone suffers. You know, they're destroying the middle class. It's difficult to say if even many of the landowners really are technically middle class. I bet a lot of them actually receive government aid. So this is our one-way strip, part of the downtown, and you can see there's really nothing here, and it's really poorly maintained, even though they were attempting to actually make this a tourist town because it's the land of Lincoln, as our license plates say. But he went through this region and we have a little home dedicated to where he supposedly stopped off. And we had an old hotel that burnt down called the Lincoln Hotel. I think we ended up gutting what didn't burn down. So that's gone. We had a lot of old buildings, but they were torn down to put up these beauties. It's kind of a shame. The ugly cement facades and poor structure. Now here we have the Firehouse of God Ministry. They're actually pretty instrumental in the community, helping out the poor and disenfranchised. They hold lunches on a daily basis for folks that can't afford to buy lunch or don't have anything at home. And they spend a lot of time in outreach ministries. I know for a while they had a group home where they housed some men. A lot of that can get really exhausting and cumbersome when you're trying to run a church too, and you don't have, you know, the field is ripe, but the workers are few. So we don't see a lot of filth or litter or detritus, nothing like that. Just no decorations, no excess, no flowers. It's just all those little things you can't afford when you're working full-time at basically minimum wage, a wage that you can't support your family with. So there's no shame in not having money, no shame in being poor, but it's just sad because I'm sure these people would love to do a little house repairs, decorating. I'm sure they're responsible with their money, but the economy is just so awful. And of course our government didn't help by shutting everything down. We'll see just a lot of folks sitting out on their porches. That's something at least that you can do for free. And maybe they're not gonna continue taking these low-paying jobs. I hear that there's quite an opening in the jobs market currently for poorly paid slave labor wages, basically. And a lot of people aren't going to go back to those jobs. They're tired of working for nothing and having nothing and not being able to have any free time and still not be able to pay their bills. So let's see the government dig themselves out of this hole. This is kind of a remnant, this brick walkway of when our town did have a little bit more money and we were working on home improvements. I think that's the time when we were kind of working on Sterling, Illinois as a tourist community. And over there somewhere, oh yeah, under the basketball hoop is a Lincoln Memorial statue. It's pretty neat. The kids like stuff like that. I'm sure there could come a time when other people don't think so and it'll be gone. Just like a lot of our other historical aspects of the United States, which I really don't care about. I mean, I feel like it's a shame to tear down something if you don't have something really cool to replace it with, but otherwise, I mean, I wasn't a real fan of the robber barons and politicians of early America. So, but the problem is that who gets to decide who tears what down? Who gets to decide what's offensive? Who gets to decide that this or that person was a bad person or a criminal? Seems to me if we look at every American president throughout the history of the United States, it would be very difficult to put them on a pedestal. And history is history. Do you have to like it? Does it have to be good? Is it good to have a reminder of what the past was? Doesn't mean that you're necessarily building an effigy to the past or that you support the actions of the individuals. Just to acknowledge history doesn't mean you're actually condoning the actions taken. So Jackson has finally decided that he can leave Lux alone. Lux just can't keep up. She's 12 or 13 years old. She's a little cheweener. And he's a Bichon Frise. But he's only like 5 or 6. But I wish we could get a picture of Jackson running. We probably could. Here, Jackson, let's see a picture of you kicking out your little back leg while you run. Go, Jackson, go. He's like, no, I'm here with Lux. He's my good boy off leash. Out of the 3 dogs, he's the only one that will walk and not need his leash. Lux would almost be there, except for just as a Chihuahua's nature is, she just wants to chase every big dog that comes by or run up barking at it. She's fine around people. She'll stay by my side, but I just don't trust her when she sees another dog. See Jackson without his leash, he'll just still stand by her, but even when they're not in that kind of mood, he'll still come when called, and he's a good listener. Jackson, wait. Jackson, are you gonna run for us? Let us see your cute little run. The way you kick out your back foot. Come on. Jackson, you're so cute. You look like a little lamb. You're cute too, Lux. You're cute too.